Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to Beyond Your Radio. Tonight we celebrate and rank the, we won't go there just yet, catalog of a band that could be argued as one of the only bands in the United States at the time that had the talent and worldwide connection in their era to compete with those in the UK, like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Led Zeppelin, as well as rather near blunt, sexually, I don't know, overly explicit lyrics, possibly for their time. That certainly became a block as well as a discussion point of interest as their popularity became immense. And of course, this frontman at the head of it all. A frontman who was the first to be arrested while performing live. I guess that's kind of cool. And a band that actually was the first ever to get a true Billboard to their album, which makes that the first rock Billboard. There's an interesting thing. Tonight, let's take a ride inspired by Alex Huxley's The Doors of Perception. Their opening was in 1965. Their closing of said may be truly, honestly, 1971 at the death of their prolific singer, despite the talents of the band members, which might be the most interesting part of all of this. Now, not that these gentlemen have been forgotten in the generations that followed, because here they are 60 years later. That's right, 2025 we're at. So they've been to Love Street, at the corner of Moonlight Drive, at the Hyacinth House. But I think they preferred the Roadhouse, best of all. They took us on rides provided by, the Crystal Ship. We're on a Spanish Caravan, Queen of the Highway, and by God, Riders of the Storm. Thanks to their drug-induced frontman, we got to speak with the Peace Frog, the Unknown Soldier, Maggie McGill, and the, I don't know what it's, Crawling King Snake, whatever that might actually be.
Yep.
Yeah. Not to mention, they took us to a place when the music was over, and did so right to the very, very end. But before we open the doors, let's make sure you're on our Ship of Fools. Are you subscribed? Break on through. Yeah, break on through. Leave an impression like we do. Hit the comment button, and I promise you I will respond. Get into that discussion. And if you love us madly, I'm so sorry for you. There's the like button if you need. So, okay, obviously, vocalist Jim Morrison, keyboardist Ray Manzarek, guitarist Robbie Krieger, and drummer John Densmore. The Doors. Simple name, but nothing could be farther from that name. There was nothing simple about this band in any way, shape, or form. It is what is behind it that made every opening of every album or everything just so unexpected. A band that truly formed, that could deform itself at any moment too, which is just truly unreal. They just had audio acceptance. They left it in their wake. They would do whatever they wanted to do. They'd have a radio hit, and then you'd wonder what the heck the other song was and how it came to be. And it didn't seem to fit. And it maybe, I don't know, back in that day, it might have made fans angry. I have no idea of course, the women, they all loved him. But when he started singing these different type of songs, were they? I don't know. But eventually, they all came around regardless. That's 4 million albums and 8 million singles by 1971. That's a crud load of records. In fact, one of the first American bands, if not the first, to have consecutive Recording Industry Association of America certified gold LPs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's crazy. I think right now, that 34 million in the U.S. at one point total, and 100 million worldwide. The Doors have been listed as one of the greatest artists of all time by magazines, Rolling Stone, other artists, 100 greatest artists of all time. I think they fall at 15 maybe, somewhere in that range, depending on the year. Yes, they're in the Hall of Fame. This is the Doors Catalog Review Show on Beyond Your Radio. And tonight, the panelists, there's 9 albums. I know that doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right at all, considering a band that pretty much ended in, 73? 70? Well, he died in 71.
72.
So 72, yeah.
The last album was 72, yeah.
So each of them will rank their they're numbered. We'll go around 3 times, but at the end, they're going to give us their placement of this band, and that should be an interesting perspective where it is, whether it's legendary, which means their entire catalog is in near perfection. It's reliable, inventive, sincere, and totally influential. Iconic, where it's very memorable, very influential to the listener, and trend-setting, generational. Then it's relevant. The albums have been getting much better. They move forward, maybe hit their stride, but they were on their way to the potential greatness. Did they get there? Club level. It means that the albums, there's some that are good, some songs are okay, maybe not as inventive. Opening act, there is something special, maybe a song or two, but it really never got any better. It was just comfort. And then a faded memory, which the band is merely a shadow of themselves, little relevance except in the past. And by God, if they're on this show and we're doing that, I had a preconceived notion that just for entertainment value. Tonight on the panel, let me introduce the panel. Hey, hey, hey. This is the strangest life he's ever known. Ray Geska.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
He's Mr. Mojo Rising. Alex Kaluzny.
That's the nicest thing you've ever said about
I
me.
know. I should take that back. He knows the way to every whiskey bar. Don't ask how and don't ask why. The Grateful Dude. 20th Century Fox? Absolutely not. He's our Warner Brothers man. Jeff Crichton. I knew I had the order mixed up somehow.
So like that group Beta you're talking about, is their follow-up album called VHS?
Yes. And hiding in the what I don't know, call it the universe over there would be Roseanne Donato from PricewaterhouseCoopers. Yes, that's right. Our show is now under the guise of that because we want to make sure that the envelopes were sealed properly, and the ranking tonight was just suddenly known to all. It was secret until just now. No, I'm kidding. I needed Roseanne to be on the channel because Album Listen Challenge coming up soon will be the album Beta by Spanish progressive rock metal band Sigilou. And I didn't want her to come into the show without having an experience of at least one show before I throw her to the wolves. Yes, she knows my manic tendencies. She's been at many dinners where I've said totally off-color things that she's had to translate. So I have every confidence that'll work out. But so without further ado, everybody's ready to go? All right, so we'll get back into this. I'm going to start off with Ray Geska, the very man who wanted this show. He paid handsomely for it. No, he didn't.
Oh yeah, the Doors. I'll tell you. I mean, I didn't become a fan until years after he died. But this album that you can see right behind me, this was the 1980 release, which was the Doors' greatest hits album at that time, and it's just just two sides. Years later, it would turn into a much bigger double disc set. But this was the album that introduced me to the Doors, and we were so into the Doors from mid-teens on, and just they've stuck forever. I mean, no one here gets out alive. The Jim Morrison book. I think I read it 10 times when I was a kid. I mean, he certainly, as I look back as a father, not a role model, but regardless, he is a legend, and the music of this band is just. I mean, I don't even need to get to the end to say legendary. I'll say it right now.
All right. Hey.
Anyways, as much as I love these guys, and they are amongst my top two bands of all time, after Jim's death, the catalog really was nothing. So I'll just start off by saying, let's see, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Full Circle would be the number 9.
Okay.
Followed by Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Other Voices would be in it, number 8. And then, okay, getting a little weird, getting to be a little much. I know he's been dead, but American Prayer at number 7. And you can actually have all 3 of them if you want. I'm not taking them to my island with me, believe you me.
Okay.
Mojo Rising, baby.
Yeah. All right. Jeff Crichton, what do you got for 987? Or is it going to be a little bit different order?
Well, I'm going to put 8 and 9, and I'm going to mesh them together.
Okay.
Because 8 will lead into 9. So the Other Voices album is number 8. And actually, those songs on that album were done. The band, the music was done with that record. They were just waiting for Jim to come back from Paris to put his vocals down. Obviously that didn't happen. And because of his death, this album should have never came out. I'm kind of, I look back on it and I'm like surprised that Elektra Records even, unless it was contractually a contractual obligation thing. Even then, they probably shouldn't have released that album as well as the Full Circle album. That that album's number 9 for me. That album to me is a waste of wax. So unfortunately, I mean, the music's good on it, but Ray and Robbie are not great singers. And number 8 number 7 is American Prayer. The poetry is cool, actually, on that album. And the music's great too. But was it an album that was really needed when it came out in '78? Nah. Cashing in, yeah. But you listen to his reading of his poetry. 30 years later, it could have been a rap album.
Could have been a lot of things. Yeah. I would think there's a lot of people that are not on our panels, not on this one, obviously, that would have been challenged by that, because I don't think they've ever heard it or listened to it or had any.
Probably not.
Yeah. And I
remember when it came out, I was working at Record Theater then.
Yeah. Did it sell then? It did, right?
No,
it didn't.
Outside of the hardcore fans.
Hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's shelved it with all the other Doors albums in my collection. I wound up getting rid of Other Voices in Full Circle over time, but I have all the Jim ones.
Alex.
Well, for once, pretty much up there with the people who lived through the era. I'll make this really easy. We have a 9A, a 9B, and a 9C.
Yeah.
None of those albums really were anything that I may have dove into them before in the past, and that tells you how memorable they are to me. Just once. I really never put much of an effort into any of those albums, not being any of the things that really got me into the Doors either. So each of those albums is it's going right to the bottom for me.
Okay. Simple. Grateful Dude.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna relate what everybody else said. These albums, let me tell you what albums I'm talking. American Prayer, number 10, number 9, Full Circle, number 8, and the Soft Parade, number 7. I find the albums, with the exception of a couple songs on American Prayer, to be lousy. A couple of songs on American Prayer were okay. Everything else on the 3 albums, I didn't like any of them.
Okay. I share your sentiment of your number 7. I have Soft Parade at 7. But my number 9 is Other Voices. I agree with Jeff Crichton in one instance, that it shouldn't have been done unless they were going to do it like Bob Dylan's people did, like T-Bone Burnett and them did the Pink, where they had all those extra written stuff, and they said, let's get together and think of something and put something together. I think that should have been left on a floor for somebody else to do, not even maybe the guys from not any of the band members at all. That would have been more interesting to me, maybe, considering they had the music down, right? Let's see what other people were going to do with it, because didn't Morrison? What I don't know. It's such a disconnected kind of thing, that record. It's also the record that doesn't sound like that. It sounds like a bar band of there's no psych in it. It's okay. So it's like the X-Files. You Mulder's gone, so you bring in Doggett, and it's Patrick, and they try to make him Mulder. No, make him him. Let him be him. Develop a character, develop something, and it just it didn't happen. So you can't make someone Morrison or sound or deliver it, and it's just
Nope.
However, there'll be a discussion of something later. Full Circle. Yeah, I have it on vinyl. I do listen to it from time to time. I do think the music on it is well, in case of some production issues of other albums that are going to be mentioned ahead of it. Yeah, I would actually almost put Soft Parade at number 8 because
Ooh.
the album starts off with this really crappy produced song. I can't even think of the name of it. And then you go to Touch Me. And then it's like
Tell All the
flabbergasted.
People, which
It's
was written by
larger
Krieger.
than life, and it's back down again. This album is just so ridiculously badly produced. I don't know what the hell was going on. It's Shitsville for me. If it didn't have Touch Me and Soft Parade on it, it would. I don't even know where I put it, and I couldn't believe it because I don't know whether I didn't remember that or what I did. Maybe like the instance. Now I'm not of the age where that started, obviously. And I had to be the one. I had to go back, just like Alex went back, just like Ray went back. Jeff probably went back a little bit, right, Jeff?
No.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Who, me? Me,
Yeah.
Jeff? Me, Jeff? No, I didn't need to go back.
Yeah.
I lived through that time.
Yeah, you lived. So I mean, that I think it would have been better, for all those of us that didn't live it. It's a little maybe something I'm saying is a little harsh because we didn't know the times or what that, right? So, and what was going on.
Yeah, Mark, you got to mind your Jeffs on this show. You should have known that was coming.
Yeah.
The Doors were my early teenage years.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
You too, right? Yeah. So there's our mine. And we'll go back to Ray.
Mark, before we get to Ray, too, it was Tell All the People, which was written by Robbie Krieger, was the opening track of Soft Parade.
Yep.
Tell all the people that you meet.
Great song.
Yeah, I recorded like garbage.
All right, hopping in. So the top 6 albums, I mean, just amongst the greatest 6 albums of any band, in my estimation, in the history of rock and roll. The fighting it out for the 5 and 6 spots. I was kind of thinking that 5 was going to be 6, but then I looked at it over time and rearranged it. So in at number 6, I'm going to go with Waiting for the Sun, which was, I believe, if I'm thinking on the top of my head, their 4th album by that point.
3.
Was that number 3? Okay. And the song "Waiting for the Sun," oddly enough, was not on that album. It was on
only a Led Zeppelin, obviously, just the middle finger to Led Zeppelin.
It came on a future album, the title track, and there's some decent tracks on there, like that you don't hear as much of anymore, such as The Unknown Soldier is on there, Love Street is on there, both cool tunes. But I put them in at number 6 because in at number 5 is the one that you just pretty much butchered up over there. But I'm just going to say that most of the time growing up and through the years of first loving the Doors, this was probably my least favorite of their albums just because it was just too different. But then I've gone back over the decades and listened to it some more, and the whole adding the horns thing to a band that was already missing a bass player. They never had a bass player, but all of a sudden now you got the horns. So yeah, Wishful Sinful's another cool tune on that album, and I just began to like it a little more as the years go by. But those two are definitely separate from the big ones, and it's really tough to even arrange the top 4 here. But an incredible album itself. But I'm gonna have to put Strange Days in at number 4. So many great tracks on the album, including one of my all-time favorite singles for the Door, although it was never released as a single, is Moonlight Drive. Love that track, and so many good ones on Strange Days. But as great as it was, just wasn't as good as the next three to come.
It's difficult. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. That right. Or Jeff Crichton. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, the top six are classic, right?
Mhm.
They're all number six for me is Waiting for the Sun. It's probably my least favorite out of the six, but it's still really good. I'm like, not any of these top six are clunkers. They're all great to very good. Hello, I Love You was a huge hit.
Mhm.
Unknown Soldier, which has been talked about, great protest song, and the great blues closing track, 5-1,
Mm.
just outstanding. Number five is the Soft Parade, which the production doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
And I don't mind the brass either. The title track is Tour de Force. I think it's a great song,
Ooh.
great lyrics. The opening track I like a lot. Tell All the People. It's a great leadoff track. Then you go Touch Me, and then you go Wild Child, and then you go Running Blue. Those are top of the list, great songs. So that's my number five. Number four is Morrison Hotel, which after the Soft Parade, they thought like, okay, let's get rid of the brass and go back to the basics and be a raunchy rock and roll band with some blues influence. And there was no hit singles on this album. But like I said, it was a return to basics. Instrumentally, it was great. Roadhouse Blues starts the album out with a bang. And Peace Frog, Ship of Fools, and Indian Summer are all great songs that are on it as well.
Can't disagree with that. Alex.
Um, it's funny to hear you guys talk about Soft Parade. It never really resonated with me as much as you guys are saying from my earlier listens, and maybe that's when I got to revisit and just try to hear it through the different lens. Outside of Touch Me, it never really, there wasn't a song off of that kind of makes its way through my rotation even. So that one goes in at my number six. Waiting for the Sun only lands at number five instead of four because it doesn't have my favorite song. That I think if you go back to one of the first 10 episodes of this entire show, when we talked about our top 10 songs of all time, landed on What's to Come. But Waiting for the Sun lands at five, even though now that we're starting to get into really where I tear them off for me. Hello, I Love You is a fantastic track, 5-1. I couldn't agree more with you guys so far that it was a phenomenal way to close an album. Spanish Caravans, even one I like to throw in there from time to time. It's just a solo. So Waiting for the Sun lands 5, and then Morrison Hotel, as promised, makes it to 4 for me because of Roadhouse Blues. To this day, top 10 song for me. Waiting for the Sun, Peace Frog. I mean, honestly, it's pretty much buoyed by that song, which I'll tell you guys a quick fun story to add to the show since I got through my bottom 3 so fast. Was on the golf course listening to the 97 Rock and Roll 500 one year, and it was on a Saturday, and we're with our buddies on the course, and George Thorogood's Roadhouse Blues comes on, and he starts singing the lyrics to George Thorogood's I Drink Alone over it. And we found a way to mesh the lyrics to the two, and it made one hell of a funny song. We were on the tee box rolling on the grass laughing so hard none of us could hit for 10 minutes, especially while the song was going on. We just kept layering it. So
well, we did do a panelist favorite show. If anybody's looking, I'll put it in the description for drinking songs. Didn't we do that?
I think we did do that too as well. Yeah. But that story from the golf course has always stuck with me too. That was a funny one that day. So I do tend to sing I Drink Alone with Roadhouse Blues quite frequently, and that would be the reason why.
Cool.
Hey, FYI, Waiting for the Sun was their first number 1 album.
Yep.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense actually. Yeah. Probably.
For as much as I've listened to the Doors growing up, I know very few facts about them, so I'm learning a lot in this show from you guys.
There's a lot of facts, and some of them are unique, and some of them are right where you think they'd be. and for such a short career, it sort of kind of parallels the Police in certain
Yeah,
aspects.
4 years.
Grateful Dude.
Yeah, I came this close to seeing him or them. 1971. They were play at the amphitheater in LA, and I couldn't get tickets, but I went down there and tried to get them, and the place was just packed, zooed out, and so I sat and I could listen to, I could hear it from the street.
Okay.
It was cool. It was very cool. Okay, I'm gonna just almost go where everybody else is gone. Other Voices is number 6. Strange Days is number 5, and Waiting for the Sun is number 4.
Okay. So obviously I have An American Prayer at my number 6, and you're thinking why? Because my mind goes to what could have been. You hear the poetry, and then the band on the side kind of thing. It's sort of a movement emotionally for me. I don't know what it was. I've listened to the album once before, and it didn't take to me. And I know it was at least when I listened to it, it had to be more than a decade ago, I think, or more. And going back to it with having done these shows and stuff, and being more about Morrison than maybe at that point I may have been 10 years ago, led me to appreciate certain things. Is it called incorrectly? I don't know. But listening to him and then the band, it's just so sad that how it had to be. So that's why it's at number 6 for me. I just think there's not a connective tissue really, but to hear him and go through that, I just, God, what a song that one could have been. What that could have been. And so my number 5 is Waiting for the Sun. My number 4 is Strange Days. And Strange Days, I can't add much more to what's already been said. It's not. Was it the follow-up that was really expected at that time? Did it match? Did it
match the debut album?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
The debut album was so good. It's hard to match that.
Yeah.
It's still a great record.
Okay. I just wonder what everybody kind of thought about the choices, with the tempo of it, obviously, it was all hell for a basement.
I think a few of those could have ended up on that first album.
That's what I'm wondering. Is that because it was so close, weren't they?
On.
Yeah.
Same vibe going on, and then Waiting for the Sun came, and it's kind of changed it. But Moonlight Drive and Love Me Two Times and stuff like that could have.
The first album was recorded at the end of '66. You got to remember.
They were together.
And this album,
they held the record company held it back to January, right? Because they
right, but the Strange Days was recorded in the middle of '67.
You go then, okay.
Okay, so maybe See, that's the thing is I keep thinking of the release times, right? And then going, well, okay. Yeah, well, those are mine. Not much more to add. I'll let it go. The final 3 are quite the discussion. So I'll open the floor to Ray.
All right, yeah. Like I said at the time, it's just like Soft Parade was just. I shouldn't say at the time because I was still a very wee lad at the time the albums were actually released, but Soft Parade was just so different from everything else I was hearing that when this next album came out, it just really blues were humming in there, and Morrison Hotel really got that back, that bluesy feeling with Roadhouse Blues, You Make Me Real, Peace Frog. These two, Queen of the Highway is actually a cool tune too, and of course the better of the two popular Maggie McGill's belongs to the Doors. and that was certainly a good album to get rolling into what should have been a much longer career. You know, they could have been a whole decade of it. I love when the bands that try doing different things get back to the blues. It's kind of like even when the Hip did it, man, because they got creative and all of a sudden then they put some more bluesy things out. So love
Mhm.
when they do that. And at number two, it's just such an incredible album, one of the greatest debut albums of all time, and you can just put that thing on and just listen to familiar track after familiar track after familiar track, and all of a sudden you're on the end and you're like, oh yeah, I heard about that story. But just fantastic debut album, The Doors, The Doors. I, I've listened to it so many times for God, I don't even want to say how many years. And then number one is my number one album in the history of rock and roll.
Oh,
um, the title track is, with all due respect to American Pie, is probably my favorite song of all time, and so many other incredible tracks that have just become the part of the lexicon of rock music history. Riders on the Storm, Love Her Madly. I mean, even the deep tracks in there, Been Down Too Long and Cars Hiss By My Window, and on and on. Just so good, so great, and I can't tell you how much I love the album and have played it so many times in history. So I was glad to be able to rank this group because as crazy as someone just reading about Jim Morrison might think he is in this day and age, he really had an impact on us growing up and the music, and me getting down my baritone singing out loud. It was crazy. When it out about an hour ago. So yeah, LA Woman, baby. LA Woman and Sticky Fingers. Those are my top two of all time. Back and
Nice.
forth.
Came out in the same year.
yeah.
What'd you
Think
say?
about that?
Those two albums were out the same year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Plus
Yep.
plus Who's Next and Zeppelin 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
There you
saying.
go.
I mean, it's
Another
unfair.
story.
That year is unfair in music industry history.
Yeah.
You put your album out in that year, you might as well just put it in the trash. No matter how good it was never going to get heard.
Thank you, Jim.
Actually, there's a
and
good
Ray
show.
and
What
John and
albums?
Robbie.
Yeah. Mr. Crichton.
Okay. So two fun facts before I get to 3, 2, 1. So here's a question. Did the Doors ever play here in Buffalo, New York?
Yes.
I
Who
wouldn't
said
know.
yes?
Alex.
Okay. What about everybody else?
Thought they did.
I'm a no.
They did not. They did not. They were supposed to play the odd April 26th of 69,
Oops.
but it got canceled because when the Doors started their tour in Miami,
Bad boy.
Morrison got arrested.
Oh,
and was no
okay.
slammer. So the show here got canceled because of that.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there you go. And then my other little tidbit was 1984. My bride and I were in Paris, and I was in a record store, and in broken English, or actually in broken French, I asked one of the clerks, who I thought might speak a little English, if he could point me in the direction so I could go visit Jim Morrison's gravesite. Right. The clerk points me to the Doors section in the record store. So, not exactly what I was looking for.
No.
So I never got to see Morrison's
You didn't get to
gravesite.
see it? Okay.
Did not get to see it.
I didn't see it either when I was there.
Yeah. So anyway, on to the count here.
I could have sworn they had an odd show. That's why I was so confident in saying yes, because I
Well,
swore they had an
you
odd.
were right. They had
Almost.
one. It just didn't happen.
I thought it was a reverse trick question where you think it's a no, so you do say yes.
Yeah. All right, number 3 for me is Strange Days. I love that record. I think it's a great follow-up to the debut album. Love Me 2 Times is a great song. Moonlight Drive, People Are Strange, the title track. plus the closing masterpiece on that record, When the Music's Over. Just a great record, Strange Days. Number 2 for me is the debut album. Debut album greatness there. I remember the first time I heard it, I was a wee lad of 11, but it blew my mind. What do you think? Like that started like 67, like that. There were so many great records in that year too. You want to talk about 71, 67 was a pretty incredible album year too. But Break On Through to Soul Kitchen to Crystal Ship to 20th Century Fox to Light My Fire to Backdoor Man to the depressing closing of The End. When that album came out, there was nothing that sounded like that, and they really stood out. And so that's number 2. I mean, like, if the mood struck me, I could 1 and 2 could be flip flop for me. So number 1, L.A. Woman for sure. Who knew that this would be Morrison's swan song? We lost him. He OD'd, or he died 2 weeks after the album's release. One of the 5 best albums, as Brother Ray mentioned, from 1971. It's a classic. We all know the songs: "Love Her Madly," title track, "Riders on the Storm." So that's as good an album as any top band has ever made.
Amen.
Amen.
And there you have it.
All right, Alex, let's get the younger perspective.
Well, number 3, I'm gonna go Strange Days.
Okay.
Love Me 2 Times is a highlight for me off that. Another thing to mention with People Are Strange, there's a cover by I don't know if I really want to call it metal so much as just hard rock modern band, but I believe The Violent put out a cover of People Are Strange back in 2022 or 2023. Just add a little bit more of the strange sound to it than it did the anything that was too heavy, but it just kind of emphasized the darker side of the song and put a different twist on it. So it was a fun little cover of that.
Echo and the Bunnymen did it for the Lost Boys soundtrack.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
If the Lost Boys soundtrack is not one of the most interesting soundtracks of all time,
Well,
just how many other people are.
Echo and the Bunnymen,
Jimmy Barnes. Yeah,
Echo and the Bunnymen actually were influenced by the Doors. You can
of course,
tell
yes.
them music.
Oh yeah.
And it was because of looking up The Violent in that one, because I think I heard the cover on Sirius XM on Octane, and it led to me going, who was the band that just sang that? I forgot, and that's how I found the Echo and the Bunnymen cover.
Okay.
So it was going back to who covered the Doors, because that
Who
list
didn't cover the Doors?
Well, the list for that
Yeah.
particular song was only, probably
The
like
only
4.
band to not cover the Doors, the Kinks.
Yep.
There was.
I'll let that one hang there for a minute.
Did you ever hear that? There was a great cover album like 25 years or so ago. It was called Stoned Immaculate, and some of the greatest covers you ever heard of the Doors.
Yeah.
Including heavy hitters on there.
Yeah. You had what? The guy from
everything.
Drops of Jupiter. What the hell's the name of that band?
Yeah, Train, right?
Train.
Yeah.
He's on there.
Pat Monahan.
Yeah.
That's a great version, but you mentioned that. That's the Light My Fire they do.
Yeah.
He does. That is a good record.
And then you even had that moment where Ian Astbury joins the Doors, and they wind up getting sued for it by the estate of Morrison.
Yeah.
And the other guy, and I'm like,
Brett
really?
Scallions from Fuel
Oh,
joined,
And
they did.
Days of the New did a killer cover.
yeah,
on
Travis
that album.
Meeks.
They got that good deep voice, just ran with it, man.
So if you
Real
count Brett Scallions as the lead singer, the Doors, aka Riders on the Storm at that time, technically performed a concert 3 turns away from my house. They played at the Lockport Concert Series back when the Canal Series was right over where they could hear the sound from here.
I saw a few of those.
Oleander, Ian Astbury, Bo Diddley, Aerosmith, Smash Mouth, Creed, Stone Temple Pilots.
Wow.
Yep. A lot of those were good.
Stoned Immaculate. Alex, back to your listing.
Yeah. So I was gonna say that's the closest I'll ever come to seeing him. And to finish my thought on covers, I mean, nothing beats when Weird Al covered them singing Craigslist or Jimmy Fallon covered them singing Reading Rainbow. No, and then the last thing with Strange Days, when the music's over, is such a good closing track. I think that if you were to do another good top 10 or top 5 list, Mark, top closing tracks of an album,
They would have two and they would have number one. They would
and
have number one. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrel.
well, I would argue for his I mean, shoot, you could say they have 3 from each of these next 3 albums.
Mm-hmm.
But I would even argue When the Music's Over is a underrated good closer that could be ranked higher than the other 2, from that perspective, for the pun involved.
Yeah, gotcha.
Second, LA Woman. Love her madly. LA Woman's a fantastic track in and of itself. I'm with Ray on that one and the high praise he gave it. Crawling Kingsnake for being the my second favorite version of a song with that title. Thanks, Black Keys. And then Riders on the Storm being as legendary as that one is. I still have memories of playing Need for Speed Underground on my PS2, and there was a modernized version of the song that was still sung by the Doors, but it was on the soundtrack for that. And I got memories of drifting cars around streets on a video game to that song playing. So
there's something I wouldn't put together. Yeah.
It actually kind of worked too.
Yeah.
A little bit up tempo for that. And then finally the Doors self-titled. I don't need to name every song on this, but I mean 20th Century Fox for being a not one of their, I don't think it lands on a lot of people's top 10s, but for being as great a track as it is from that standpoint, top to bottom, phenomenal album. And with each track on it really doesn't miss. And the end being the song that, what a way to punctuate an album, let alone have it be your debut, is incredible from that standpoint. And so there's my final 3. And then the last thing I'll also leave you with when it comes to my Doors listening experience is they are technically featured on a song with Skrillex in the song Breaking a Sweat, which just sounds like it belongs in some shitty soundtracked spin class somewhere, because it just sounds like a thing that makes you want to get off the bike more than pedal faster. But it's worth a fun listen if you want to dive into the EDM world of the Doors, so to speak.
It's an interesting dichotomy, that's for sure.
It was not a collaboration I expected, and I merely listened to it out of the sheer fact that I wanted to see how that one ended up.
Yeah. Grateful Dude.
Well, to be honest with you, during the early 70s, I was more into Dead than anything else. I was totally into the Dead. The Doors made it. Matter of fact, they announced there was supposed to be a concert with the Dead and Jim Morrison playing, but it didn't go off, which was it was a big downer. But the last 3 albums are so close in ranking that it's hard for me to give a rank. Yeah. It really is, because they are terrific albums. But if I have to, Morrison Hotel will be number 3. LA Woman will be number 2. And their cover name is number 1. Yeah. The Doors number 1.
All right. I will second that notion. Those are my 3 in that same order. Morrison Hotel, that Roadhouse Blues has that, I don't know, ruckus that it still is a signature sound that kind of has that New Orleans riff and feel. And I love that kind of stuff about it, and that mystery. And of course, pull a Zeppelin, right? Waiting for the Sun, blah, blah, blah. I don't know whether people were in competition or doing what they were doing, but it seemed intentional to me. I love The Spy in that house of love. The subtle things. The subtle things. His voice can be so subtle and yet send a zinger. That's what I really, really love.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. They have some of the greatest openings of all time with, the different tricks and crying out loud. But those subtleties, Morrison, even that, the Hyacinth House, that Southern rock tint. What? Southern rock tint in 1971? What? All right. L.A. Woman. Oh no, that was all L.A. Woman. I think when that comes to L.A. Woman, the idea of that album transcends to people like Gord Downie of the Tragically Hip.
Absolutely.
I just think
Absolutely.
that's exactly where that love of that improvisational lyrical approach. No, it was probably not improvisational once recorded, but it was improvisational at some point where they're playing and he says what he says and they all stop and go, "What did you just say?" Can we use that later? Can we use that then? Can we? I don't know. It's just, yeah, and that's what I meant about the Hyacinth House, because that's where the Southern rock comes in LA one, and that debut album is one of the greatest debut albums of all time, if not the greatest debut album of all time. You got to separate the Beatles in a way, kind of in some instance, I think, right? The making of it, you have to be absolutely floored or impressed. All right. It doesn't sound good sometimes. And I think that might be because, I don't know, Morrison came in and thought the panel was on fire and he sprayed it with a fire extinguisher. I mean, crazy shit was going on. He was on LSD and completely out of his gourd in some cases. So who knows what all that, but it's clever. It's psychedelic. It's completely unique. You're absolutely right. Everybody's statement, there was no one doing what they were doing, and I don't even know where they pulled it from. They pulled it from other genres, obviously, but they don't have like a band they were following to the nth degree, except for maybe the one band that thought that they were stealing from them. But other than that, I was altered. That's still an album that when you put that on, you're just like, okay, take me there, and that's a great album when it takes you there. All right, so we'll get right back to it. I obviously Ray already said he's got it at the top of the end all be all, and so I'll just go through. I'm assuming that's Legendary, right?
Legendary.
Okay,
With an exclamation point.
with an exclamation point. All right, Jeff Crichton,
The first six are definitely
Legendary.
legendary. Yeah.
Yep.
The other three you can just, well, two you can toss in the can.
Yeah, you can. I like the idea that you can be legendary and make mistakes and have things happen, right? And try to
Yeah.
survive.
What
it,
happens when the legendary is posthumous at that point, though? Or the
Well-
mistake is posthumous, I should say, at that point.
Here you go. You want to hear something else here?
No,
Alex-
Absolutely.
Alex, you were absolutely correct when your answer to my other question was when you said yes. So I stand corrected. The Doors did play in this area. However, it was November 18th of 1971.
really.
So it was the three of them. They played at the Peace Bridge Exhibition Center. And
So not technically the overall band. Plus, they
It was-
played in
it was a
Lockport,
three.
obviously.
yeah, it was the three of them minus Morrison.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they played there November 18th, 1971. I looked it up on Google and because I was curious, and they played to a small audience.
That's a shame. I wish I wouldn't have, I was not born yet.
I was 15.
I was not even a
So-
sperm yet.
I was 15 and I wouldn't have even been interested to go in to see that.
So we'll go to you, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I emptied the tank a little bit there at the end of my final three, but this was quite the adventure of a band for me to learn about. Obviously, I think when you're in high school, you're thrust in front of the logos of Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Metallica and everything from there. But the Doors for me are one of the first bands that didn't sound conventional, or I wasn't getting on the radio a lot, or
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the friends that I have, because one of them had the typical shirtless Morrison poster in his room with the hairy chest and the necklace, and I
All right, I'll take my shirt off.
Oh God, keep it on.
yeah, you're not the reincarnate, Mark. I don't think it's gonna
No.
have the same effect. But it was really that that friend group that I had, that, when we had a burnt CD, Touch Me and Light My Fire and Lover Madly would end up on it or something when we'd create something for the car. Like, it was an ironic discovery period, because I realized not a lot of people around me knew the Doors as well as I did from that. And I learned later on from talking music with my mother that she's not a big Doors fan. Never really discussed it with my dad too much, from digging through his CD collection. He's got a best of them. But I've never dug through all the 28 crates of vinyl I have down here to find out if there was more Doors in it yet. So
Could be.
one of the latest ventures of my girlfriend and I is playing vinyls that she has. So I'm that exact photo, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Stop tweaking his nipple. Stop it. Stop it.
no, it's just funnier because now it looks like Ray's growing out of the armpit. So I've got to dive through the vinyl to see what I've got here. But yeah, it was a different band to discover, being now in my early 30s, and not a lot of people, in the class of 2011 high school era were discovering the Doors. I didn't feel like, unless you were a true classic rock junkie, you were a little bit stuck in the era and a little bit finding more of the commercial. And I'm glad that because of that friend group, I was able to find some of the deeper cuts, not just the hits, all at once.
Yeah.
It wasn't the surface layer 5 songs on the top of the icing of the cake, but to go 15 or 20 deep, and really start to enjoy them. Back then, I'm a listening habit. So that's kind of my experience with them. And I would say they should be a legendary listen, legendary group. Ray, what in the hell do you got going on over there? It's the fact it's headless.
Yes, it's Grateful Dude. What's your Alex? You got him at legendary, I guess. Is that...
Yes, absolutely. I think they should be. They have a word mark and a brand that's up there in that regard, I think, too.
Yep.
27 Club, obviously, being a legend of them. A little bit of a mythical thing to them. So, yeah.
Cool. Grateful Dude.
Legendary. They're one of the best bands that's ever played. I go with Crichton. 6 were great, fabulous albums. 3 were where's the dumpster?
Where's the dumpster?
I have not listened to them in years without the assignment that you gave me.
Yeah.
And they were just as bad as I remember.
Yeah. For me, yes, they are legendary. I think there's one thing to be said, though, in that time space, and that they are that time frame. In my defense of Soft Parade, the idea of that is, I don't understand how you can produce something so well and then do several songs that are not. And it's almost like they're in different eras of time. And it just I'm like, why does it sound great and then it sounds so screwed up? And that irritates me as a listener. And I got in headphones. I'm not listening to it in a car. So I don't know whether, but there's also tons and tons of remastered and reeditions that I didn't, I don't have. So, and there's all kinds of stuff you can go down rabbit hole wise. It's up to you, the schools, the parents, to educate your kids, to make them and put them on this list. In America, at one point until a few other bands started to emerge, they are one of the greatest bands ever in the history of the United States.
And if you want to see there's a really recent interview. Can't remember where it's from or who the interviewer was, but there's a recent one with Robbie Krieger and John Densmore.
That's with Rick Beato, correct?
I don't remember, but
Okay, well, Rick, just so you know, you can look, but Rick Beato interviewed both of them, and I will tell you this: not only was that interview engaging, Rick Beato is a very great interviewer, and he knows music, and he knows sound, and he can do it all. He's a producer and all that. But what was interesting is the two guys playing off of each other would not agree on certain things because they don't want you to lose the mystique of it all. Right?
Yeah.
It just seems like
Yep.
he goes, "Is that really how it happened? I don't know. Is that like they're faking
Yeah.
that they don't know?" I love that. It's fantastic. And of
Well, they
course-
don't. They might not remember either. They're
It's, it's possible, but I thought they were
They're
playing
close
off.
to
I mean,
80. Both.
I
of
mean,
them.
but the fact of the
Yeah.
matter is, how do you know all the chords and stuff too? But you can't remember what? I don't know. I think they're playing it off. But hey,
I growing up in LA, the Doors were on every other song, literally.
Yeah.
All through the 70s, 71, 72. And after he died, they were completely in LA. Every radio station you turned to had the Doors on.
Yeah.
It was quite phenomenal.
I liken this. This is a great lead. I liken this to if this would have happened. Okay, we just had the Ozzy send off. Okay, which was huge, really massive, right? I believe if this band would have been where they are, this man would have got his send off in the same guys. He would have been considered one of the greatest front man, biggest guy, maybe not the Prince of Darkness, but the Prince of Poetic Craziness or whatever. I think he may have been like that if that would have come to the fruition. If you're looking for some other artist to kind of piggyback this on, I would suggest the Tea Party because Jeff
Yeah.
Martin is pretty damn
Mhm.
close to
Yep.
Morrison in Reincarnation and a ridiculous guitar player to it.
I would
Yeah.
also venture to say it's not just in any sort of sound, but aura too.
It's
It's
just
really
that picture with the chest, right? And all that. That's also Jeff Martin. Jeff Martin looks good mowing his lawn. All right. And he can play it up good. So that it's just an option. So I'll listen, I'm going to thank the panel for doing this tonight. We went a little bit longer. Great topic. This is obviously one of the greatest catalogs there is from a standpoint of that tight space. Same thing with the Police and others. I will thank Roseanne for hiding out in the background, but we'll see her in the flesh on when we do the album review Saturday with Sigilou. What was your ranking? Where would you put the Doors in your competitiveness against the UK bands? Where that's an interesting one altogether we could get into. I definitely recommend again Rick Beato's interview with the two surviving members in full detail that Jeff Crichton talked about. It's truly I think it's over an hour at least. I think.
Yeah.
UK bands?
Pardon?
UK bands?
UK, like Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones. This is where would the Doors? Could they knock off somebody? Could they have compete? Could they were competing with them? They were at that point. They were selling millions and millions of albums, and they're the only band in the U.S. at that juncture that probably could pull that off. We're back in October, okay? And it's pretty much obvious in the Halloween what we're going to do. It's Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne will be the we will do the Prince of Darkness. Join us for that special one. And we're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, because there's no other better way to do this. Articles, videos, and that elusive podcast. It's all about albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us. Join me Thursday for a very interesting Keep It Dark. Thanks for watching and happy listening.